It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time for another handheld review. And after a week with the Portable Game Player 5, I have to wonder, is bigger really better, or is this just a poor man's PS Portal that's all screen and no soul? Let's find out right after this. Hey fam, Swati tu Konkret Pinik here. And before we jump in, a quick reminder of how my review format works. I give every device a score of 0 to 69 across 7 different categories, and those categories are unboxing, internals, first impressions, ease of use, customizability, controls, and value. I'll show you each category score, and then we'll total it all up at the end by putting it all together. That said, let's get started with the unboxing experience. As you can see on the screen, the device comes in a nice, colorful, retail-ish looking box that's full of color, better than a lot of devices that come in a cardboard gray box or a solid yellow or white box. So I appreciate that they give us something to look at visually before we open up the device. Now, when we flip up the lid, we get a clear sleeve that our device is inside of. Sadly, it did not come with any type of protection for the screen or for the thumbsticks like a lot of devices come with. It also came with the manual that's in English and simplified Chinese, and came with USB-C to USB-A. Of course, you're able to use this to charge your device, or if you have a USB-C controller, you can connect your controller here. You can use this USB-A cable to plug it into the device itself. So multi-function, I appreciate that. However, this compartment looks like there should have been something else there. There's nothing else there. And I checked out underneath the tray to see if maybe it was down there, but nope, as you can see, nothing there either. So a super basic unboxing. So a super basic presentation, missing protective extras that a lot of devices come with that are cheaper than this. So the presentation is super basic, missing basic protective extras that a lot of devices at cheaper prices come with. And it looks like the maker cut corners on the packaging to save an extra buck. So that's what's in the box. Neat but underwhelming, which earns it a score of 34 out of 69. Now let's see what's under the hood. So as far as internals go, the device comes with a 7-inch screen that's 1024 by 600, which gives us roughly a 160 pixels per square inch. If you're not familiar with pixels per square inch, it's basically 1 inch by 1 inch. How many pixels or dots can you fit in for this? By comparison's sake, our little 2-inch wonder here, the TrimUI Model S from last week, while it may be only a 2-inch screen, it had a pixel density of 200 pixels per square inch. So this offers a sharper image than this does on a per inch basis. So it does offer a big and impressive screen, but a fairly low pixel density makes it modest in this arena. The SoC that comes in this device is the Rockchip RK3128 with a Mali 400 style GPU, which is a typical pairing for this SoC. It's okay for 8-bit and 16-bit games, and you can even get mini PS1 era titles, but it's not built for heavier 3D gaming. It does come with 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM. It's enough for the simple emulation that you might need, but it limits multitasking and heavier emulators that need the extra bandwidth. It comes with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card preloaded with games up to PS1, but there is no onboard storage. So that makes it immediately plug and play, with a caveat being the storage quality that comes with a device like this and the legality questions that apply for receiving a device with the ROMs. I would always recommend take the micro SD cards, delete all of the ROMs that come with the device, and then put on your own legally obtained ROMs. But you are the purchaser, so at the end of the day, it is your decision. It does come with mini HDMI port for outputting video to your TV, which is good for couch gaming if you don't feel like holding onto the device. And as I mentioned in the unboxing, it does include an USB-A port, which they call the handle interface for wired controllers. And that's because this device does not include Bluetooth. Speaking of connectivity, not only does it not have Bluetooth, it also does not have Wi-Fi. So if you try putting any of your own ROMs on here, sadly, you won't get any scraped box art, as this is a strictly offline device. It does include a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, however, so if you still have some wired earphones kicking around, you can definitely use those. But again, no Bluetooth, so no wireless earbuds. And there is backward firing stereo speakers. Again, I imagine they tried fitting as big of speakers in the device as possible, which made it where the only place to put them would have been the backward firing rather than downward or forward facing speakers. So the speakers sound okay for casual listening and for some retro games, but don't expect any big explosions that sound really deep and bassy. As far as charging goes, it is charged only through the USB-C port. No modern fast charging whatsoever. Make sure you grab a phone charger from 15 or so years ago to charge your device, or if you have a wall outlet with a USB-A port, those will usually charge at 5 volts, 2 amps, so that would work perfectly fine as well to charge the device. Now, it does include a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, which would give you an estimated practical battery life of 4 to 5 hours, depending on the brightness of the screen and the type of game you're playing. Obviously, an original Nintendo game like Super Mario Bros. Is going to get much more playtime than a game on the PlayStation 1. The screen is not covered with glass like a lot of devices. It's actually covered in plastic, like on cell phones from 20 years ago. So keep that in mind, because that will mean that it's very easily prone to scratches. So even a thumbnail will scratch this. And because this is a no-name device, you're not going to be getting a tempered glass screen protector anywhere. Not even AliExpress covers any accessories for this. So it gives you the big screen, but weak internals. So I give it a 23 out of 69. Now let's see how that translates the moment that you pick it up. And let's take a look at the first impressions. So when we talk first impressions, as I mentioned, the first thing I noticed, because I turned it on and set it down for you to be able to view it on the unboxing, is the horrible viewing angles. And that's because this is a standard TFT LCD display versus most other devices like the TrimUI Model S include an IPS display that give you great viewing angles. This gives you extremely washed out from my perspective viewing angle. So unless you're looking at straight on, it's going to look at best. And then I pick up the device and it feels top heavy because I'm guessing the battery is right here. But then other than that, it feels very hollow. Hardly any sound to it whenever you're holding it. So it makes it feel heavy but hollow at the same time. And then the Nintendo Switch sticks have a good enough range of motion. I could play most games on this without any issue. For example, Twisted Metal 3 came on this device and it played without any issue on it. So the sticks are just fine. The D-pad is quite big. As you can see here, it's quite a big D-pad and face button section. They're fine, but again, you get a very hollow sounding sound whenever you click on them. And then the other buttons are clicky, clackety. I'm not sure how well the microphone's picking that up, but they are. And as you can see, here are the back-firing speakers. I can't remember the last time I had a handheld that had backward-firing speakers, but again, there they are. The other thing that of note is the triggers are not triggers after all. So you can't push down towards the bottom like you would with a regular trigger. Rather, these have to be pushed near the L1, R1 buttons. You have to push them up towards the top, which is counterintuitive because they are a clicky clackety button. Again, I wish they at least made it where you could push the whole thing to make it better, but for some reason they chose not to do that. So just be aware. You have to push up towards R1, L1 to get the triggers to work because they're really partial buttons. Now, as I mentioned, their front end is, let me exit out here. Their front end is their own in-house front end, and most of the games are not alphabetical. As you can see here, we have Strange Square, Quack, Happy Checkers, so Plants vs. Zombies, Underwater, TDD. I wish that they had made these on a per-device basis alphabetical to make them easy to find, but let me turn back on the screen here. But you can see there is a search, so you can press the X button and do a search to find the game you're looking for. So it's not all lost, but again, needlessly complicated. But you can see I typed in 1, and then it's giving me all of the games that begin with 1, and it looks like it's giving me all of the games that begin with 1 regardless of console. But then you press this button over here, and you get the basic menu. How bright do you want the screen? When do you want it to go to sleep? What language do you want? So it does say you support quite a few languages. Interesting. Scan game. I guess if you delete out your games and put on new games, you can have it scan that for you. And clear self-added games. You can do that, of course, back. But let's just load a game here. So I can bring up RetroArch for you. There you go. So as you can see, they have neutered RetroArch quite a bit. All you have is the quick menu. So no integer scaling or anything like that, no shaders or anything like that. Not that I think that the chip inside of this is capable of it, but just so you know that there is no flexibility with this. They've locked it out, so you're not able to do that. So it's great as a simple big screen novelty device for a young kid that might want to steal your ROG Ally X or Steam Deck, but it's disappointing if you have mid-range retro handhelds that you can go to without any issues. So it looks like a PlayStation Portal clone and feels like one, which earns it a 29 out of 69. But how easy is it to actually use? Let's talk about that next. So as I mentioned, you can click into any of your devices, and then you're able to scroll through with the arrow pad or with the stick. And then it'll tell you what you should be using to be able to do it. So you can search there, you can enter your games, go back, or you can add it to your favorites, which is nice because, again, if you have specific favorites, you can add them from all the different consoles, make it easier to find. So in the menus, it's quite speedy. Playing PS1 games included, for example, Twisted Metal 3, all loaded and played. I played for a good 30 minutes, did not see a bit of stuttering on Twisted Metal 3, for example. So for PS1 and below, it's pretty good. But again, don't expect lightning speed, don't expect the greatest visuals, because again, it's just stretching out the native resolution of even the PS1 games to fill the screen. So it's easy enough to use. So I'll give it a slightly above average 39 out of 69. But can you customize it or mod it? Let's check out customization next. And if you've been following my channel for any amount of time, you know that customization is generally one of my favorite categories. So the nice thing is it comes preloaded with games on the micro SD card slot. So you don't like those games that came with it? No problem. Just take it out, put it in your computer, delete those games off the micro SD card. If you have your own ROMs catalog, go ahead and add your favorite up to PS1 games on here and you'll be good to go. Again, don't expect Sega Saturn level because that's much more difficult to emulate than PlayStation 1 was. And of course, we have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, as I mentioned. So with a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, any wired headset that you still have, you'll be able to use those to enjoy gaming in quiet, other than the clickety-clackety-ness of the buttons. And of course, you do get the flexibility of connecting it to a TV with the mini HDMI port, as long as you have mini HDMI to full-size HDMI. And you can use USB-A, the handle port, for connecting your wired controllers. So there is some flexibility. USB-C will not connect controllers. It's only for power in. And again, it's only 5 watt, 2 amp. So either use the USB-A port on your wall socket or use a phone charger from 15 years ago. Anything more than that, you'll either fry the device or it just won't charge it, depending. I haven't tested it because I didn't want to kill my device potentially. Now, other than that, I looked on AliExpress and Etsy. There are no tempered glass screen protectors for this, even on AliExpress. I checked on my ROG Ally X and my AYN Odin 2 Portal cases. I could not get a carrying case to fit this. So unless you have something like the Lenovo Legion Go, and even then it's iffy, you're probably not going to be able to find a case for this. So for me, I look at very limited software customization, RetroArch being locked down, and you can't tweak it with any add-ons. There's not going to be any aftermarket covers here to make this blue and green or whatever you want. There's not going to be that. There's not even going to be a carrying case for you. And I wish somebody sold a tempered glass screen protector for this because, again, it is a plastic screen rather than a glass one. But alas, you're in a no-name industry for this device, hence why it's called the Portable Game Player 5, probably the least imaginable name that they could have come up with. So customization is probably the lowest customization score I've given all year, 20 out of 69. But now let's talk about what actual controls feel like while you're actually playing. So as I mentioned, the sticks are Nintendo Switch style and feel fine to play, although they are quite far down compared to the shoulder buttons. So if you're trying to do both, I hope you have decently large hands to be able to do both. The D-pad is quite large, and the face buttons are as well, which would probably be good for younger gamers. Again, kids that are 5 to 8 years old would probably find this a great joy because they're big enough that they can easily find with their hands. The R1 and L1 work as expected, but sound hollow and clicky at the same time, whereas R2, L2 are also hollow and clicky, but only towards the front. The back you cannot press. Sorry if you see the phone shaking, but you can't press them. So to be 100% frank with you, these are the worst feeling buttons I've tested this year, and it's not even close. They are plastic, they rattle when you move the device around, and the plastic flexes when you press on it. So the controllers really hurt the experience. And again, I have to give it another disappointing 21 out of 69. Now, the final big category, value. And this is something that's really hard for me to quantify, but I'm going to try my best for you. If your top priority is a giant, cheap screen for a kid, this has value. If you care about screen quality, viewing angles, or button feel, it misses the mark on all three of those by quite a ways. Again, remember this device costs about $50 US, and there are devices that cost more, and there are devices that cost less. But honestly, for me, I think something that's around $50 for myself, personal wise, I like the RG34XX more than I do this one. Has a nice glass screen, even though they could have probably gone with plastic on this because it closes down, but it has a nice glass screen. The buttons feel much better, even though they're smaller. The sticks feel about the same. I'm not going to lie, these aren't the best sticks, but again, I'm not going to complain. These shoulder buttons, I wish they were stacked like this has stacked, and this is an inline. I'm not the biggest fan of inline sticks, but I would rather have these inline sticks than these stacked, for the simple reason when I have stacked, I try playing with my hand and I use the bottom of the button because I'm used to it on PlayStation, and I can't use the bottom of the button on this device. So it drives me nuts when I'm trying to play it. So again, the device's presentation hits the mark because again, they try to use Sony marketing materials and really makes it feel like a cheap knockoff. The build quality is also a big miss because again, it feels hollow yet heavy at the same time. The buttons don't have a great feel, a lot of clickety-clacketiness that's unnecessarily clickety-clackety, hollow sounding. And other thing I want to mention is this device comes preloaded with games, but it also comes preloaded with some very odd images. Comes with images of China, which looks like they were taken on a phone from 20 years ago. The other reason is the other sets of images are of Britney Spears from the early 2000s, and the second one being of Chinese girls. Now, they're fully clothed. It's not something that would upset the Chinese government, but they are scantily dressed, and some of them have water poured on them, that type of thing, which might be inappropriate if you're giving this as a gift for a 5-year-old. So if that's the case, I would take out the micro SD card, find where those pictures are, and remove those pictures before you gift this gift to a 5 to 8-year-old. So all that said, for me, value is a big swing and miss from the baseball perspective, which earns it a 28 out of 69. Now, let's put all those scores together and see the overall result. Again, putting it all together, the unboxing got a 34 because of decent packaging graphics, but weak protection for the device, especially since you have to have it shipped from China to get it anywhere. The internals got a 23 due to its large screen, but weak processor, tiny RAM, no wireless, no Wi-Fi, and a plastic screen. The first impressions got a 29 due to feeling heavy yet hollow at the same time, with poor viewing angles on the screen and awkward, non-existent triggers. Ease of use got a 39 because the front end is simple enough and clear, easy button hints, and so it's going to be easy for newcomers, but it could have been better. Customization got a 20 out of 69 because you can add your own ROMs via the SD card. You can use your own wired headset, and you can use a mini HDMI to HDMI TV. But minimal other customizations. You can't get a case for this. You can't get a screen protector for this, unless you happen to find a 16:9 7-inch screen that's a little bit bigger due to a bezel. Then you might be able to put on the screen protector for that, but not one that's specifically designed for this device. And again, that's really sad for me because I love being able to customize it. As you'll be able to see in an upcoming video that I do, I'm waiting for one more accessory to arrive for the Retroid Pocket 5, but once I get that, I'm going to be making multiple videos for that. All of the accessories that Retroid offers directly will be qualifying it for its own video for customization. Whereas I can't say that for a lot of other devices. I think the last device that I was able to say that for was the AYN Odin 2 Portal. So that speaks volumes about its customization. But back to this one's, very minimal, 20 out of 69. Controls, again, clickety, clackety, and hollow all at the same time with awkward triggers. So I have to give it a 21 out of 69. Value, I tried my best to find the positives here, and it depends on your priorities as a buyer. But for me, it's overall limited by its build and screen quality. So I give it a 28. which if we round to the nearest whole number, the result gives it an overall score of 28, which sits it in the 20 to 69 band, which means needs serious improvement on my rating system. If you want more details on that, check the comment section below for how I do my ratings. That said, what are the top pros and cons? Well, of course, for the pros, we have the large 7-inch screen. Not saying it's a great 7-inch screen, but again, for a child, I'm sure that they'll love having a 7-inch screen to play games on. It comes preloaded with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card that is plug and play. I didn't need to do anything. I could just power it on and I could be playing games in a minute. And as you saw in my video, it even came with Doom. So everything can play Doom, and at least this can play Doom too. It has a very low price, especially for a handheld that packs a 7-inch screen, so it makes it an easy impulse gift buy. What are the cons, you ask? Well, again, as I've beaten the dead horse many times in this video, poor viewing angles and the plastic screen really affect the image quality. The hollow, clickety-clackety buttons and triggers and a rattly chassis really make this a bad chassis, if you ask me. The awkward R2, L2 triggers make it very strange because, again, you're pushing up towards the top of the button rather down towards the bottom of the trigger. And the limited customization and missing wireless connectivity make it also hard. You can't use your earbuds, you can't connect to Wi-Fi, you can't find a case for it, which would be nice to be able to throw it in a case and then throw it inside of a bag for a weekend for your child. But alas, the only thing I can think of that would possibly work again would be the Lenovo Legion Go's case, but I can't guarantee it. You have to try it yourself. So who should consider it and who should skip it? Who should consider it is parents buying a gift for their younger child that, again, 5 to 8 years old, I think would be perfectly fine with this device. And a casual novelty-seeking retro players that want a plug-and-play experience on a knockoff-looking device. Who should skip the device? And who should skip it? Well, people that care about the pixels, because again, the screen quality really lacks. Bad off-angle viewing, low pixel density, cause not the best screen clarity. And modders and tinkerers, because again, the device is locked down. They've even locked down RetroArch, which is sad because again, it's great to be able to do things like integer scaling and whatnot, but you can't even do that with this device because they've locked it down so much. So I asked you if bigger is better. And in short, not really. Size alone does not make a great handheld. The portable Game Player 5 delivers a big screen and a low price, but the softer pixel density, poor viewing angles, plastic screen, hollow feeling buttons, and non-intuitive triggers mean it fails to deliver a satisfying experience for adults and enthusiasts. It does work as a cheap, simple toy for kids or as a novelty showpiece. But if you want a durable, high-quality portable for retro or serious play, this is not it for you. If you have tried this unit, tell me about it down in the comment section below. I also want to hear your thoughts in the forum, link down in the description. If you found this review to be helpful, I hope that you'll hit that like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss my next video. And until next time, this has been P. Nick.